Product management hiring from big tech companies have dropped 25 to 75% over the last 5 years. Total job openings for product declined 90% from 400,000 to just 40,000 3 years later. Even worse, this time last year, the number of job postings for product is the same as it is this year. A lot of people are feeling like product management is dead. Today, I'll explain why I believe this is the case and what will emerge on the other side of this AI revolution. By the way, I'm going to show a lot of quotes and anecdotes and images on the left, on the right, on the right side. And if you feel like I'm going through them too quickly, just hit pause or rewind and you can read it all again and listen to me at the same time, please. 3 main things I want to talk about today. 1, what even is product management? How did it come to be? 2, how does AI rewrite all of this understanding? Finally, what will emerge on the other side of product management after all this AI disruption? Let's start with a brief history of product management and software. I actually didn't know where product management came from. So I asked all the chatbots, Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, to do some research and looking into history. I also made them fact check each other, so I'm pretty sure this is not a hallucination. Turns out that product management was initially the brand man at Procter & Gamble back in 1931. And their job was absolute responsibility for a brand. For example, like Colgate or some other toothpaste or whatever else Procter & Gamble makes. They make a lot of stuff. Anyways, this person is responsible for tracking sales to managing product development to advertising and promotion. Uniquely, this person is supposed to go into the field and talk to customers directly to understand their pain points in order to sell more products to more customers. Today, product management sits at the intersection of 3 major circles. Customer, which is understanding what the customer wants, understand their pain points, understand the technology, which is how we can develop new products and services to help solve these problems. And lastly, the business, how to make money and how other people are making money and the competition and how you can find a unique differentiating value prop in the market. Very similar to the brand man in the initial 1931 proposal tied to software. Ultimately, there's 4 major steps in the day-to-day life of a product manager. First is strategizing what we actually need to build based on talking to customers, understanding the market, really understanding pain points. Then defining a solution. What exactly are we building? How would it look? How would it feel? How would the users interact with it? How would the feature or product actually solve the problem? Third step is to coordinate while building. So talking to designers, talking to engineers, make sure everyone thinks on block, everything's going ahead, alignment with stakeholders, finance, legal, leadership, et cetera, et cetera. And lastly, releasing the product and seeing if it worked or it did not work and learning from customer feedback. 4 major steps. I'll caveat this is software product management. This is not hardware. So we're making robots or sofas. This probably doesn't apply to you as much. Well, maybe it does. I'm a software guy, so I actually don't know. And also caveat, I don't really know B2B that well. So it may not apply to you if you were, for example, selling Fortran code to banks to keep records, like machine from the 1970s. But generally, if you're a PM at a software company, you're probably doing these things on your day-to-day basis. Now, let's talk about how AI dismantles the modern product management lifecycle. Just a reminder that anecdote is not data, but I've managed to collect a lot of anecdotes from a lot of different people who share this perspective. And kind of felt like this when I was trying to keep up with all these perspectives. So I hope you appreciate all these stories. So let's start by looking at each of the 4 stages of the product lifecycle and how it's being disrupted, starting with discovery. When I use ChatGPT deep research and I give it a prompt like this, it will literally go out and scour the internet for user pain points, competitor feedback, app reviews, and all of these things to give it a 360-degree view of the market, of the user, of the competition, and anything else I need. When I tried this for my own product roadmap, it actually got to 95% on the first try. And when I gave it some more context and some things that only I knew, or that's internal knowledge, it got to like 99%. This used to be a very time-consuming manual task that PMs had to do on their own. Another part of discovery is talking to real users to really understand what they want. Well, looks like there's AI for that too. That's probably a meme somewhere, hashtag AI for that, like an app for that, but anyways, They claim to interview hundreds of people in your target demographic at scale using AI to really tease out insights for you. If you're a product manager at a very large tech company, you probably have people that do this right now. They're called UX research or user researchers. And so right now, anyone at even a small company can do this with AI. All right, that's discovery, but the next phase is defining what to build. And here AI is changing the game on a weekly basis. Here's a very relevant quote from Julie, who's a well-known author. All the things that PMs used to stress about PRDs and wireframing and all this stuff, gone out the window. Not only product managers are facing this, designers are facing this too, where this sequential process where we gradually get more high fidelity in order to minimize risk and minimize costs, all of a sudden doesn't matter much anymore. The whole defining process what used to take maybe a week or two to write a very detailed PRD, very well thought out with wireframes, now is probably taking days or hours. AI is disrupting the defining process. It's also disrupting the building process. Vibe coding is all over the place. And at Y Combinator, the Harvard of startups, a quarter of their cohorts are vibe coding all the way to production. 95% of their code is being written by AI. And as a product manager, we need to be around and talking to engineers to make sure work is getting done. Well, they're getting their work done way faster now. They don't really need you to coordinate anymore, especially when designers are also vibe coding prototypes that are clickable, interactive. The clarity of what needs to be built is obvious. You don't need to be answering clarifying questions all the time or getting more requirements or solving edge cases because they've already been solved or AI already figured out a really good solution. But also at large companies like Meta, where the CEO is saying AI could do all the work of mid-level engineers. And the model builders themselves, makers of Claude, Anthropic, the most popular vibe coding model, is saying in a year from now, even 6 months from now, that's it, no more coding. This reflects in the number of job postings from Indeed, where software engineering jobs have gone down, oh boy, like dramatically from the peak. And it's down from before COVID. And so in the last 5 years, software engineering job openings have declined overall. If AI is doing all the coding, then who are you actually coordinating? So that's how AI is disrupting the build process in software development. Finally, it's disrupting the last piece of the puzzle, which is shipping and learning. Having AI analyze your data is a very old use case now. ChatGPT was doing it like almost 2 years ago. And since then, many data platforms have layered in AI on top. Ask the question about your data and it'll give you the charts and numbers for you. So you don't have to be super technical on querying data. If you work at a large company, you might have data scientists or product scientists or business analytics, people who query data for you so you don't have to. But now you have AI that will do it for you instantly instead of waiting 2 weeks for a ticket to be in queue and prioritized. And that really helps you learn a lot more after you ship features or learn how users are interacting with your product. The other part of learning is listen to customer feedback. And normally you would read support tickets, read app store reviews, but of course, AI does it for you now. Hashtag AI for that. So now that you've seen how AI fundamentally reshapes the PM role in software development, let's talk about what's left. Rather, I like to think of it, how will product management evolve? PMs are going to have 3 major jobs. First, prototyping and deploying. Vibe coding is replacing/enhancing engineers. It's also enhancing product managers and designers. Here are some examples where even a VP of product at a very large public company is deploying code straight to production. Even designers and product managers are prototyping and understanding the capabilities of the technology before they even commit to a first design in Figma. As a PM, you have to be building. Secondly, as a PM, you need specialized expertise. AI has incredible knowledge about the world, and many people say better than 80% of people, so you have to be in that top 20%. Otherwise, AI will know more about your domain than you do. And so find something to specialize deeply in. The days of the generalist PM that goes from B2B to B2C to enterprise to cybersecurity to consumer, that's over. As a PM, as a human, you have to be exceptional. Lastly, sales. Here's an example where Franceschi 2 years ago said there's no more PMs at Airbnb, and all the designers roared in applause. Of course, Brian later clarified more of a product marketing function. And this kind of brings us full circle back to 1931 at Procter & Gamble, where we have the brand man whose only job it is to sell more products to more customers. You have to be able to collaborate with marketing and sales to get your products into the hands of customers. If you work at a big company, you might have the privilege of working with product marketing managers. With AI, this should be entirely possible for you, the PM, to do the job of a PMM as well. And added benefit is now there's less communication, less context sharing. You know your product better than anyone else, supposedly. I'll finish with the ideal setup of a pod. I think that is shrinking and roles are expanding. AI is as disruptive as much as it's an opportunity. And as a PM, you have to build, have expert knowledge, and sell. All these anecdotes are signaling towards some kind of future. But how far away is that future? Overall, maybe we're not totally there yet. And maybe we're only 70 to 80% there. But models are coming out every single month, sometimes every other week. And sometimes the models that do come out are another step function better, another 10% closer to the nebulous 100%. And so overall, I think the question is when, not if, because all the signs are pointing that this is right future. And I think we're just a little bit short of the goal right now. I remember seeing this tweet from Sam, almost 4 years ago. Well, time flies. And I didn't believe it at first, but I think it's really true, especially in product management, where AI is really giving people who work in product development superpowers and are allowing us to do so much more in so much less time. So really, this video is not just about the inner product managers, but really the inner product development, because AI is fundamentally changing every single role of everyone involved. Product managers being part of the product development process is equally being disrupted as with anyone else. So actually, I gave a version of this presentation in person in Vancouver Product Camp. And at the beginning of the presentation, I asked this question, and a lot of people didn't really know what they were getting themselves into. And then I get the same question at the end of the presentation, and here's what people had to say. So it seems like generally people agree with me, which is disappointing because I kind of want people to disagree and teach me something new. So if you disagree with me, please let me know in the comments. And if you agree with me, well, maybe you will like the video, maybe you'll subscribe in case I post, or, share with a friend who's thinking of getting into product management or who you think could probably use a wake-up call. Yeah, thanks for watching.